Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Revamped Founder. In this episode, we have Timothy Bramlett joining us. This was an incredible conversation in my opinion, but please do keep in mind that this was recorded in November of 2022, but it's still a very fresh and very interesting conversation. So, I hope you enjoy it and do listen till the end. Enjoy. So, hey Timothy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm absolutely fine. So, before we begin, can you give an introduction of yourself to the listeners?
Yes, definitely. So my name is Timothy Bramlett. I am a former senior software engineer. I was mostly in the distributed computing space,
Mm-hmm.
specifically kind of big data. And then I got into product. Now I work for a major tech company and I'm a manager of product managers
Mm-hmm.
for that tech company. And then the reason you and I are talking is because on the side for the past, well, really probably 5 to 8 years, I've been building side projects on the side. And that's been
Yeah.
a very rewarding learning experience for myself, as well as I've had a few projects that have actually taken off a little bit and made some actual money. One of those being Notifier, also some affiliate marketing projects that I started much earlier than that. And then most
Yeah.
recently, I'm starting a new side product called getvalidation.co.
Hmm. That's great. So, what is notifier? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, definitely. So Notifier is pretty simple at its core. It's what many people call a social listening tool. But the best way I've heard it
Mm-hmm.
referred to for people to understand it easily is it's like Google Alerts, but for
Mm-hmm.
Reddit, Twitter, and a few other platforms. So you
Yes.
tell it what you want to search for, and then it notifies you whenever that occurs on Reddit, Twitter, or YouTube or Instagram.
So is that making any money right now? Notifier.
Yes, yes, that is. Right now, for the past 4 or 5 months, we've been stuck at about $1,500 monthly recurring revenue. But at the beginning
Yeah.
of the year, it was up quite a bit higher, around 2,000 to 2,500 at one point. But what we've seen this year is that the economy has started to affect things, is what I'm thinking,
Mm-hmm.
because we haven't changed a whole lot about our approach. And
Yeah.
we've actually been marketing more. So perhaps the downturn in the economy has affected things. Maybe it's making people less interested to try some new software applications, stuff like that.
Uh, so $2,000 is pretty good for a side project actually. What I think.
Yeah, thank you. I was surprised. Yeah, I think if I would have known what I know now back when I started it, 3 to 4 years ago, obviously I would have been, taking much different approaches. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping to continue to, just let it run, kind of taking the approach that Peter Levels uses in many ways, kind of let it run, see how it develops, stuff like that. And some people are getting a great value out of it actually. So a lot of people are using it for lead generation, stuff like that. But I'm just going to keep it running. We've almost gotten it to like a stable state as far as development. And so now we're just going to let it run for a little while, continue to collect customer feedback, see where it goes, kind of continue to market it. And we're going to focus for, as far as side projects go, on probably getvalidation.co.
Uh, talking about validation. I personally think that it's a really interesting project. So can you tell something about that?
Yeah, yeah, and I do too. I mean, it's I guess what you would call a passion project in some ways, but it was born out of really what I learned with Notifier. So I made so many huge mistakes with Notifier. It's crazy. It's actually amazing to me that it's making money with all the mistakes I made with it. Just as an example, probably the biggest mistake I made, well, first, let me say the one mistake I didn't make was that I kept it running this entire time, right? If early on,
Mm-hmm.
if I would have gotten depressed at no one signing up and just taking it down, none of that would have ever happened, and I wouldn't have learned everything I did. But so that's the one thing I did right there, the stubbornness. But
Yeah.
one of the one of the huge things that I did wrong was whenever it did start making money, because what originally happened was this. So I created Notifier, I think 3 to 4 years ago now. I was actually working at Capital One at the time, as a senior
Mhm.
software engineer, and that was my kind of side product. And
Yeah.
I launched it, and I think I launched it on Product Hunt. It's hard to remember exactly
Mhm.
when that occurred, but then I just got a few users and initially didn't get any paying users. But then I actually kind of life happened and I moved to Houston, started working for the company that I'm working for now, and you know, just started focusing on basically life and moving to Houston and stuff like that. But while I was
Mhm.
doing that, I kept it up and it just kind of started getting customers from that one initial product on launch. And I did some
Yeah.
work on it. I didn't totally, I had to maintain it just a bit, but I definitely did not focus on it and actually was trying some other projects. And that's when I came back. But after that happened, and once I saw that it was up to about $300 monthly recurring revenue, I was like, okay, well, let's invest all in on this as my side project that I want to focus on. So what I started doing, this is the big mistake. I went in and just started writing, creating features basically. I hired a
Yeah.
developer. I hired a developer on the side to handle the front end. At that time, I was handling the back end myself, and we just started like creating features, like adding platforms for it to support. Didn't talk to a lot of customers.
Yeah.
um, classic classic mistake.
Yeah.
And anyway, so I basically spent a year adding features to Notifier that ultimately did not pan out, and really what people care about is some of the just the core platforms. So I think it's one lesson for a lot of people to keep in mind is, validate every feature you're going to add. And that's actually that's actually how I got into the idea of getvalidation.co. So obviously
Uh-huh.
I'm a product manager in the industry, right? In my day job.
Yeah.
And a big thing there is that one thing you'll see at large enterprise companies with large enterprise products is they don't surprisingly do a lot of validation, right? They don't, and,
Yeah.
and and the reason for that is they can afford it, right? You can easily spend, a large company can easily spend $5 million, building out a feature for an existing product. And if it doesn't pan out, as long as they have that core product, who cares, right?
Yeah.
But even big companies are starting to get into the idea of kind of validating things beforehand. That some of the most successful software companies are very big
Mhm.
on looking for feedback from customers. But what really kind of kicked off this idea of getvalidation.co is this concept that's been floating around the industry for several years now of, hey, try to basically sell the idea or the feature in some ways before you code it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
do you know Dagobert
Yeah. Yeah.
Lenoff?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I know
so
him pretty well.
yeah, exactly. So in many ways, he was the inspiration for, or at least he inspired me to try to start marketing getvalidation.co. So I saw
Yeah.
him tweeting, this is probably 6 months ago, or maybe originally when he started doing it. I saw him tweeting
Mhm.
about his experience offering a feature to, I think he sold it to like 3 of his existing customers. And doing
Mhm.
that let him know that, oh, these 3 people are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Now this is definitely a feature I should build out. And so that's where the idea of getvalidation.co came from, is to tell your, well, and my experience was Notifier because I built tons of features that people were just asking for, and I never really took it any further with the validation. And that's
Yeah.
pretty good, right? If a customer is asking you, that's a pretty good signal. But then again, you got to ask yourself, is that a paying customer? Are they my target market? Are they interested enough
Mhm.
in the idea or the feature that they're going to be a beta tester, right?
Yeah.
And finally, will they pay for beta access to that feature? And I think we'll see with getvalidation.co. I'm not sure how many customers will be willing to do that. Now, that being said, I did pre-sell the idea of getvalidation.co to like 11 people at this point, but that
Mhm.
was a very small amount. But we do see,
Oh.
I'm very curious to see what people are able to do with it. I want to see if, people can use it in
Mhm.
mass to kind of get validation for the features and ideas they do before they invest in them. We'll see.
Yeah. So like instead of just using get validation for features,
Mhm.
can't we like use it for whole product
Exactly.
before
Yep.
launching?
Yep. That's exactly right. And that's going to be one of the core functionality. You can either do it for a feature, for a whole new idea you have. It doesn't really matter to it what which you're doing, a feature for a specific product or an idea.
Mm-hmm. That's very good.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how does like the backend work at get validation? Like, how does a person get validation for the new feature?
So it's still being developed, but
Uh-huh.
high level, it's a very similar concept to what kind of Dagobert did, except you're using get validation to take the payment. And I'm still working out exactly the mechanics of how the payments will work. I think initially, and I'm gonna have to research this more, but I think initially we will charge the person that kind of wants to invest in that idea or feature. And then if it doesn't get built, if it doesn't get validated by us that it's been built, because one process that a lot of companies like you see people using, what is it called? Anyway, you see multiple platforms for people taking payments for digital products, but one step they do not have in there is kind of the validation or the confirmation that that work was actually done, right? So we will be adding that kind of concept into getvalidation.co. It'll be manually done at first, right? And maybe in the end done through some kind of voting system, I'm not sure, but someone will be validating that that product or that feature was actually launched, and then that money will be released to the developer. So yeah, initially I think it'll be taking payments through Stripe, and then if for some reason that feature doesn't get developed, it'll be refunded to the customer. But what I'd like to do is have more of like a deposit type system where they deposit the money, we hold on to it, and then don't charge their card until late. So I need to work out the details a bit more, but it's a bit, yeah.
Right now you're charging $1 for the beta.
Exactly. Yeah, just $1 for the beta. I think if I was to go back, I would have charged a bit more, probably $5 to $10 for beta access, just because it's a difficult decision. Part of me wanted to try it anyway. So I wanted to make it easier for people to kind of sign on and only have to pay $1. But I got more than I expected, and I initially didn't expect anyone to actually be interested in it. So maybe I should have done like 5 to 10 just to further validate the concept.
So how many people have like entered the beta program till now?
Let me take a look. I think it's 11, but let me verify that it's not 12. Let me see.
I think that $1 is a very small amount.
Yeah, like 12 cells. Yeah, I agree. I think it's a little too small, but oh well. Next time, I guess as I add features to it, I can validate those features with getvalidation.co itself.
Yeah. That's great. Nice.
And my plan overall, I like. Obviously, you said you're familiar with Peter Levels, right?
Yep.
Levels up. Yeah. So my plan this year for side products, because I call them kind of side products instead of projects, although who cares? It's the same word.
Yeah.
But my plan this year is to make as many small ones like this as I can. So if getvalidation.co doesn't work out, I'll probably keep it running, just keep it out there, and then kind of pivot to something else. That's my plan at least.
Like, but I think get validation will work pretty well. I don't know
Well,
what the
I appreciate
future is,
that. We'll have to see.
But at first I thought that it was for products, but now that you have explained it to me, I have understood it a bit better. Like.
Yeah, and I think, and of course, I have to be careful not to add too many features to it, but I think there could be a lot of interesting functionality you could add to it related to kind of validating things. I don't have the specific examples in my head right now, but well, one example is, there's many ways for a customer to actually, because what you want, right, in order to validate a product is you want a type of exchange to happen, right? A monetary exchange is probably best in some ways, but there are other ways to validate as well, or other ways to exchange. Like they could exchange their email address, for instance. Maybe that could be a way to validate. Or they could maybe exchange their time, maybe allow them to set up a meeting to talk with you more, something like that.
What I think that it should not be the only factor, like the monetary part. You can set up different things too, like you're talking about meetings and all. I don't think a lot of people will pay, but at the end of the day, if people are ready to pay, then I think that's validated. Like the feature is.
Yes, I agree. And maybe, we'll have to see. Maybe there could be like a gating system. Like maybe initially you just get emails, then when you run it again, then you get it paid. Or I'll have to think about that, and I'll have to see what customers say, because one approach I'm definitely taking this time is I'm definitely going to talk about the monthly recurring revenue from the very beginning. That's one thing, because I've noticed that on Twitter, it seems to get people excited, when you're sharing that, and they can kind of follow along, and it seems more real, I think. So I'm definitely
like
sharing
build in public.
Right, exactly. Build in public. So I'm definitely doing that. But another thing I'm doing this time around is I'm going to try my best to interview every single customer that signs up. Now that may not happen because obviously maybe they'll be busy or something, but I'm really going to make an effort to try to interview every single customer this time. With Notifier, I was just kind of throwing things out there, and I didn't realize how valuable that was back then in some ways. But that's one big mistake also that I'm really going to try to rectify this time.
Yeah, that's a pretty good thing. Like in the starting stage, you should interview your customer so that you can get their insights.
Right.
Like I was reading that in the starting, you should not build for your customers. You should build with your customers.
Yes, I've heard that also, and I like the way that's said, building with them. Another thing, and you have to tell me because you've been on Twitter for a while and you've probably seen a lot of examples. But I'm gonna be one thing I really like about Peter Levels and how his approach is he shares so much. Like when he has a question about even like a technology thing, he just asks, and people will start responding. Now, some of that's because he has a huge audience, right? But he built that audience in many ways probably by doing that. And I don't know, I think it's really authentic. It's really powerful. So I'm going to try to share more as we go along and ask people, because when I was starting out, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, even before that, when I was making stuff that nobody wanted, I was so scared and like so afraid to just ask, hey, what do you think of this landing page? Is it crap? But now I've kind of gotten over that fear in a lot of ways. I'm going to be trying from day one to kind of share and say, okay, what do you all think of this? What do you all think of this? And try to get as much feedback as I can from Twitter.
But I think authenticity is the best thing, like on any social media platform. Like while building in public also, you should be authentic. You should ask questions and like share what you're building.
Right.
So like moving on, like what do you think about the Twitter acquisition?
The Twitter. So Elon Musk acquiring Twitter. I think it's going to be interesting to say the least. I mean, it's one of those like get your popcorn ready type situations, right? And I've been following along quite a bit. It's very interesting to me because normally Elon, I don't follow him that much, to be honest. I know some people really, really are into him, which I've been focusing more on doing my stuff. But in my experience,
Yeah.
Elon's mostly taken things from the ground up, right? He comes into a technology area where something completely has not been done before, and he does a lot of good marketing. He gets the team together to build it and then starts doing that, right? It's very interesting with Twitter because Twitter is an established platform. I've never seen him take an approach like this, taking an existing company and trying to revamp it from the inside out.
Yeah.
So we will see. And there's a lot of rumors going crazy out there about what's going on.
Yeah.
It's hard to find out exactly what is going on. Like I've heard that he started doing code reviews, like brought in some of the Tesla engines. And I also heard that like they printed out the code, which I don't know if that's really true. That sounds
pretty
crazy.
questionable.
Yeah, it sounds like some crazy rumors because I don't know, but maybe that is true. I don't know. And I also heard recently, actually, it's funny you bring up this topic, but I guess it's because it's trending now. But I heard recently that he wanted them to change the registration process all in 1 week, which that's crazy. Like to make a change like that to a massive platform in 1 week only, that seems very difficult.
That's a very hard job, actually.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. We may not be here. We're probably, or I would say we're definitely not hearing the full story.
Yeah.
It may be a lot of rumors, but to answer your question, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to watch, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you? What do you think?
I think his main goal will be to increase Twitter's revenue because like Twitter barely makes any money.
Yeah, that is. And what do you think? What approach would you use to do that? Because I was thinking about that, and I guess advertising is the main option. But
yes, advertising. So like if you look at other platforms like YouTube and like there are a lot of them, like Instagram and all of them.
Right.
They have shaped the algorithms in such a way that the advertisers get a lot of benefits from like when they advertise on the platform. But I don't think they're the same for Twitter.
Right.
Because the returns, like the ROI, is not that much when compared to other platforms. So if I were to change that, then I would have worked on the like the advertisements part.
Like making it easier for advertisers.
Yeah, and improving the algorithm in general. So that because the main goal of advertisement is to help the advertisers. And
that is true.
if that happens, then like the revenue will automatically increase.
Yeah, that is true. I think it'll be interesting to see what he does with it because I don't know if his primary concern, at least from what he said publicly, I don't know if his primary concern is to increase what would you call that? The advertising effectiveness of Twitter. I don't know if that's.
Yeah.
It seems like, but yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No, I'm just saying that he has said, now I don't know if it's true or not, that he has acquired Twitter for free speech and all that thing. But we can't really say anything like until maybe talk to him personally.
Right. And I mean, because we see he's making moves already to kind of increase the revenue, it seems like, based on the features they want added. Like I think they've talked about adding a verified check mark.
You'll charge $20 or something.
Right. And I haven't done the math yet, but someone told me that, or at least I think I saw online on Twitter maybe, that doing that approach would only generate like 5 to 6 million a year, I think, in revenue. Yeah, and Twitter's revenue. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, continue. Go ahead.
Oh, and Twitter's revenue is like, I think, of course, I could be butchering this here, but I think it's like in the billions already, 3 billion or something a year. So that seems like a small drop in the bucket, that feature.
Yeah. But like, I mean, I read somewhere that the revenue will increase by 100 million. So we don't know which number is right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah,
All
we're just
kind
gonna
of news floating there.
yep, exactly. We're gonna have to wait around and kind of see how things go. Now, interestingly, I think as far as a visibility situation,
Mm-hmm.
the Elon Musk buying Twitter, I think it's probably been great for the visibility for Twitter because you see a lot
Yeah.
of people claiming, you know, a lot of celebrities and stuff claiming that they're leaving Twitter,
Yeah.
but I don't know. Everybody's talking about it, right? Which that's not been the case in the past few years. But now all of a sudden, everyone's talking about Twitter and Elon Musk. I mean, you see it all over Reddit, you know, every
Yeah. Yeah.
day on
Absolutely.
Reddit, there's a new post about it.
No, I don't find any reason for a person to leave Twitter just because Elon acquired.
Right.
That might be like Elon haters out there. I don't know.
Hmm.
We are sitting on the sidelines and watching
Right.
what happens next. So if you were given the chance, would you pay $20 for the verified check mark?
Oh, that's an interesting
The blue
question.
tick.
So I I already do pay, you know, for a lot of software on the side, obviously. I mean, because, you know, I
Mm-hmm.
have these side projects, I pay for AWS costs, I pay for DigitalOcean. But besides that,
Yeah.
I pay for like small things on my iPhone. I basically, I firmly believe that paying for good software can really improve your life, right? Your business and your life. So I don't have trouble, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, paying for software. And ironically, or not ironically, maybe appropriately, I'm paying for Twitter Blue already. Now, that being
Oh,
said, I don't see a lot. It's not like a game changing feature,
yeah.
but it's so cheaply priced that it doesn't really matter. And the one thing I think it does allow, which is to undo your tweets. If I remember, I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that which allows me to do it. So you can quickly,
Yeah.
you know, edit your tweet before it's fully sent.
Mm-hmm.
So would I pay $20 for a verified checkbox? Maybe. Maybe, but they better have the verification process be legitimate, you know, some way to really, I think it could be a good thing in some ways, right?
Yeah.
For the legitimacy of the platform. If you could tell
Yes. Yes.
instantly, oh, hey, this person's legit, he's a real person,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been verified, that would
Yeah.
that would have no other social media platform has that I know of. And that could really, I think, maybe help legitimize it in some
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Continue. Continue.
oh no, I was just
Sorry.
going to say because one thing, you know, when I was younger and
Mm-hmm.
led more, I was one of those typical people who would be on the internet and always anonymous, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
that felt good. You know, it's very comfortable to be anonymous. You can say whatever you want to say, but
Mm-hmm.
at some point, you know, if you really want to start saying something to people and sharing your
Yeah.
opinions and stuff, I think nothing's more powerful than just being like, okay, here's who I am, here's my real name, here's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So I'm very big on that now. And we were talking about this just a moment ago with authenticity. And
Mm-hmm.
if if they did have that feature to kind of legitimate, you know, prove who you are, I think that could be a
Yeah.
very powerful selling point for the platform.
Yeah. Yes. That's definitely a good point, actually. But
What about you? Would you pay the $20 a month for it, do you think?
uh, I think like I'll have to cross the followers, like the mark, to get the $20 for it, to get the verified check mark. So I
Hmm.
don't think they'll make it available to everyone. Like
Mm.
there'll be a certain threshold that you'll have to reach because otherwise, like it will help the bots also. I don't know how it will help in like controlling the bot situation on Twitter.
Yes, that's a difficult
'Cause,
situation.
yeah, and I think it's like on all platforms, but out of all of them, it's very prevalent on Twitter.
Yes, I would
Yeah.
agree. And I think the Reddit bot problem is
Mm-hmm.
probably worse than we know. But
Mm-hmm.
because their API
Yeah.
has very little controls that I've seen, just rate limits basically.
Mhm.
But I could be wrong. Maybe I haven't studied that
Mhm.
in depth in a while, so maybe Twitter is worse. But yeah,
Yeah. Let's see. We'll have to wait and watch.
yeah, exactly.
Ah,
Have you heard about what Jack Dorsey is doing? He's making apparently like a Twitter competitor.
I read about. I don't know if he'll really do that. I don't, I didn't think so.
Yeah,
There's
apparently
a
it's called Blue Sky, but I don't know if he's. I don't know how far along that is, or if it's just an idea.
yeah, because like I don't think anyone will do that. Still,
Yeah, it's been a while too since a new social platform has kind of cropped up. Well, at least a text-based one, right?
yeah.
TikTok,
There's this Be Real, like social media. Have you ever heard of it?
the video-based social media.
Yes, I think it's a like Instagram competitor, but like Be Real, like the name says.
How do you say the name? BLDO?
Be Real, BE and REAL.
Really? Okay, no, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, you should read about it. I think it's available in US only for now.
Hmm.
I'm not sure about that, but
Taking a look. That is interesting.
hmm,
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, be real.
yeah.
Interesting. Do you have you experienced TikTok at all?
No, it's banned in India actually.
Oh, it's banned?
Yeah, I
Really?
mean,
Interesting. Why do
yes, yes.
they, what's the idea behind that?
I think it's because of the Chinese origin of the app.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I guess because of data breaches and all, I'm not pretty sure why they banned it, but it's banned in India.
Okay. I didn't realize that. That's interesting. How do they ban it?
Yeah.
Just keeping it out of the
Yeah.
app store?
Yes, it's not available in the App Store and the Play Stores.
Okay. I see. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
TikTok
sure is.
generates. So let me tell you, TikTok generates a ton of traffic. It blew my mind. So just to compare, we had someone share a video about Notifier on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we support
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, but we have limited support for them. So you can basically search hashtags with Notifier and get the
Yeah.
results that match or contain that hashtag. But when they shared it on Instagram, it generated a decent amount of
Mm-hmm.
traffic, right? Nothing crazy. But
Yeah.
when they also shared it later on, like a week or two later on TikTok, the amount of traffic it generated was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I don't know why it is. Maybe just
Yeah.
TikTok is just does that. Maybe they just have so many more people than Instagram or Reddit, but or maybe it was just the right time, right place type thing. But I was really surprised by how much traffic a simple TikTok video about Notifier generated when we don't even support TikTok. So people were watching it,
Yeah.
connecting the dots that this would be good for them to try to use Notifier for lead generation on Reddit and Twitter, and they started signing up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, TikTok is a monster right now in the social media
Yeah.
space.
Actually, in the marketing space also, from what I have
Really?
heard, I've not personally used it,
Mm-hmm.
but its algorithm is so well developed that like
Yes.
if you're using it for marketing a product or something,
Mm-hmm.
like it has a very high chance of blowing up. I don't know
Yes,
a
and
lot about it, so
I don't know a whole lot either, but my wife is on TikTok a lot and she follows actually educational stuff. And I've seen it through the stuff that she shows me and my own experiences being on TikTok because you're right,
mm-hmm.
their algorithm is really dialed in. I think
Yeah.
it must take into account not only kind of what you like, right, which is very
Mm-hmm.
simplistic because you have to take an action in order for that to happen. But I think it also monitors, how much time did you spend on that video? How many times did you rewatch it? Other things
Yeah.
about it, because the content it really narrows down on what you like. and starts
Yeah.
really giving you related content to that. It's pretty amazing and a little scary in some ways.
Yes, actually. I mean, they have a lot of they have access to a lot of the personal data
Right. Exactly.
from what I've seen. Anything I'm talking about TikTok, I am not sure. Like
Right.
I'm just saying from what I've read.
Yeah, same here. And one interesting thing I've heard about TikTok, and I think its parent company, is that they
Yeah,
have this
ByteDance.
concept, right? They have this concept of like a super app, which I don't
Hmm.
fully understand, but from what I've been told, it's the fact that they have this massive platform that multiple applications of theirs use. So
Yeah.
one analytics platform that all these applications use, and they can collect all this data and then use all that
Yeah.
data across the entire platform to improve it and make more targeted decisions.
Hmm. Yeah, that's actually pretty interesting talk.
That is.
So like, Timothy, what are you like building next? What are you working on next after get validation? Do you have
That's a good
any?
question. So
And then,
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how getvalidation.co works out. And I was wondering this, and please tell me if you come across this in the next few weeks, like a good approach. But
uh-huh.
I've never heard from anyone, when like what the timeline is for seeing if something's taking off, right? Like, how do you know when should I give it a month? Should I give it 2 months? And how many customers should I see that start using it before I say, okay, this is not working out? I asked Peter Levels the other day on Twitter, and
Yeah.
what he does is kind of build an MVP, launches
Mhm.
it, and then kind of will wait around and see what happens. Sometimes he said it takes up to a year to see if one of his
Yeah, I
projects
saw
gets
that
traction.
tweet.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So
He he lets him run in the background or something.
yeah, exactly. He leaves it in the background
Yeah.
running. So I think what I'll do is I'll launch Get Validation, create an MVP, and I mean like a bare bones MVP.
Yeah.
And then if I see that people are interested, if they're saying, oh, this sucks, you need to change it like this, or hey, change this, I
Uh-huh.
think then I'll know, okay, well,
Yeah.
there's some interest here. But if I see people are just bored, they're not responding, they're not giving feedback, then I'll probably just keep it running and go try something else. What will I try next?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm looking. I I see a lot of people talking about like what is it AI, like image
The
generation.
AI avatars or something.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
can't think of any use cases that I
I
could
don't know,
pursue.
like, there's so many people working on.
I know, and I'm just amazed like that Peter came up with that use case because
There's Peter and a few different accounts, like big
mhm,
accounts,
mhm.
which are working on this AI avatars thing. But
Yeah,
like, to be honest, I can't think.
same. Yeah, I can't think of, I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm just blind to AI image generation use cases.
Yeah.
But have you tried it? Have you like tried to do some AI image generation?
No,
It's pretty amazing.
I have tried Dolly and all.
Hmm.
But these AI avatars, like,
Right?
no, I've not tried to.
Yeah, I
Because
signed up.
I haven't. Yeah, can you?
Yeah, I signed up for the Dolly API, and they have like a playground there, which is it's actually
Yeah.
pretty well made, I think. And I love doing it. Like it's so cool to be able to, excuse me, type a
Yeah.
prompt and then the computer generates the
Mm-hmm.
image. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
when I first did it like several months ago, I remember telling my wife at the time, "Hey, come and look at this. This is incredible." And it blew my mind. It's rare that you come across a technology that blows your mind like that. The only other time it's happened, well, the Open API was similar for me because I don't know if you've tried that, but and it's actually the same API, just different tools within it, different sections. But seeing it, seeing me tell it, write the profile of a Twitter user, for example. I just wanted to see what it could do. And then seeing it just write it out was amazing. It was really cool. But the image generation just felt even more cool and more game changing. You could really see in the future how it could replace, clip art and all kinds of, normal use cases that you have for
Yeah,
art.
yeah.
You can just type in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've
That's really
already,
interesting.
it really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I've already used it for a few, like the getvalidation.co landing page actually is an AI generated image, one of the images on there. I'll have to send it to you. But one thing I've noticed though is it's very hard to get exactly kind of what you want. And the way some of these things turn out, I've described it as like it's a little bit of a nightmare, some of the images you get. It just looks off. The people do not look normal some many times, but it's the
Yeah.
we're still in the beta here, I guess. So I
Yes,
think it
yes,
could
yes.
really get better.
Yeah, it has a lot of scope in the future, what I think.
Right. And I think in the next few years, it's going to really change, especially once they can do the AI generated videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
That,
that's going to be crazy.
yeah, that's going to be really crazy because then you could type in a prompt. I don't know how it would work, but it seems like you could type in a prompt for like describing the video that you want it to create, and it just
Yeah, yeah.
creates it.
So, like, what do you think about like like with AI, like for video generation and graphic designing, all these things, a lot of jobs will be affected, like without even
Yes.
thinking about. What do you think about that?
I think it's one of those things I think where we're going to have to kind of very intensely watch what's really happening, because there's two scenarios that I see that happen. One scenario, which is the darker scenario, is that these tools, the value of human labor starts to go down, right?
Yeah.
And when that happens, people have to have some way to get money, essentially, right? You have to have some way to distribute money throughout society.
Yeah.
That's a fact. And so there may have to be some type of, if that happens and if human labor turns to zero, has no value, then yeah, there's going to be some type of basic income in order for people to survive, right? Or, and we don't know which one it's going to be, or these things allow new markets to open up and new jobs that we can't even comprehend.
Yes.
I've joked before on Twitter that I think in the end, I've said in the end, we'll all just be YouTubers of some kind, right? Just like sharing our life in order to get likes and create value and get money. Hopefully it's not like that in the end in reality, but that is another possibility, I guess.
I think that with these AI generated videos and designs, freelancers will be affected very badly.
Yeah.
By this thing. Because
I think so. And I don't know, we're going to see though. We're going to see what happens, because I've already seen, right, yeah. And I've already seen like a GPT-2, which actually it detects GPT-3 generated content as well. But I've seen a tool that does that, and it's good at detecting it. And like I've tested it, and it's pretty good at detecting it. So maybe there will be a tool that checks, AI generated images and AI generated videos, and they'll restrict it. And maybe it will not affect things that much, and it'll just be one of those technologies that we forget about. I don't know. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and watch, like that ready.
Right, exactly. Just like Twitter with Elon.
Yeah. So, like in the end, like what message would you like to give to all the young like builders, creators?
Yeah,
Who might be watching?
That's a great question. I think the most important thing I have learned is do not be afraid to share kind of what you're working on, to be authentic, to be yourself, to just start putting things out there. And I think that's the most important lesson I've learned, is that you have to just start putting stuff out there. And it can be a process, right? You can start out, and as you go along, you get better at it. It really does get easier to put yourself out there. But I still remember how hard it was, years ago, to just even get on Twitter and like show your face and put your name on there and to just start somewhere. But you had to do it. You had to get out there, get over your own fears, start marketing and showing what you're working on, and then everything will build from there. And the other thing I've really learned that I'd like to share is that you really do need to validate your ideas before you invest in them. And it's not a pitch for getvalidation.co because there's multiple ways to do it, honestly. But really try, and most people don't believe you at first. I don't think I would have believed myself, but you can't, I guess you can. You could, in theory, build a product, not market it at all, you not talk to anyone, and you could get lucky and you could build something that people want, right? But that's very difficult to do. You have to get very lucky.
Absolutely.
You have to know the problem space very well. That's difficult. So the better approach is validate it in some way, talk to your customers, and like you said earlier, which I really like, build it with them. Try to launch it as soon as possible, get it validated, build it with them. That's the approach I like. And we'll see how well it works. We'll see how well it works.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Have you used Vine actually?
Vine?
Like it is like a 6-second or something. I don't know. Twitter replacement. Sorry, a TikTok replacement.
Yes. So Vine was something back. I actually wasn't on Vine that much, but it was actually a tool kind of before Twitter, I think. I don't know the whole history of it, except that it used to be a way to share videos, I think.
Yeah.
But no,
Like
I haven't tried it because they took.
Go ahead.
I think they took it down, right? I'm actually looking now. I'm searching.
Yes. They have taken it down. But like Elon holded a poll, like whether they should reintroduce it.
Wow, I'm seeing that. Yeah, I'm seeing the news on that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That could be big. I remember Vine being very popular for like memes and stuff back in the day. So like pre-2010, I think.
So I think that it was too ahead of its time, like way ahead of its time.
Probably.
Because now what we are seeing with TikTok these days, it's like if they started today, I think it might have a good chance. But they'll have to do something different.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing's for sure is that Elon does know how to market a product.
100%.
Yeah, that may actually be. I don't know a lot about the guy because I haven't followed him that much. But my suspicion is that that's his real strength is kind of marketing tech products.
Yeah, I think like he has built a really strong personal brand for himself on social media. So
that's definitely true. I mean, can you think of another? Yeah, I can't think of another tech CEO that has that strong of a personal brand. It's interesting.
Absolutely.
Because that's the thing about Elon Musk, which is very crazy to me because you don't see it with a lot of tech CEOs, but he is the brand. I mean, he's literally the person, marketing. Maybe Zuckerberg is similar in some ways.
Maybe.
But he's
not more than Elon.
No, because Zuckerberg is worse at it, right? He's not as personable in any way as like not that Elon is personable, but Elon is definitely more exciting, right? And it's interesting. I wonder sometimes like why do people, I guess because he makes them do it, but why does Zuckerberg put himself in all those videos? You think he would know that, okay, you're not as personable, sentiment is against you at this point. Maybe let's not make you the face of these products.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Like Elon has built such a like strong personal brand that when someone mentions Tesla, before even thinking of like cars and Nikola Tesla himself, you think about Elon Musk.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a very good point. When you think of Tesla, you think of Elon, right? You no longer think of Nikola Tesla. Did you hear? And I have to go in just a few minutes, but did you hear about that? That car company Nikola that started up and turned out to be a
It
fraud
closed
or
down
something?
actually. Yeah, it started out, but it turned out to be a fraud and closed.
It's so funny because they literally used the name Nicola to kick it off, right? We should have known, hey,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
copycat. Anyway, I don't know the
It
whole
was very
story about
funny.
that,
Like,
but
yeah, neither
yeah,
do I. I've heard of it,
right.
but still.
Okay, well, I
Uh,
actually have to get to another thing,
yeah,
but I really appreciate
great.
you having
Maybe.
me on.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
all right, well, thank you so much,
Great.
Advik, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.
Yeah, me too.
All right, have a good day. Talk
Enjoy.
to you later.